What's up, you guys? James Strickland here with BenchOnly.com. Wanted to bring you guys a video series on recovery. Recovery is paramount in getting successful with your particular lifts, in my case, powerlifting, and all the various sports that I've played and done before this time. So anyways, I wanted you guys to get a little bit of insight on the tips and tricks that I want to bring to you guys. But first, let's talk about what recovery is. So recovery, by definition, is a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength. So those three things are definitely paramount to any training regimen. I'm going to cover just the physical side of things today. In later videos, going to bring you guys some information on the nutritional side and the psychological side, which I think are equally important. So I'm going to go through a few steps here for you guys today. Follow along. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel because there's more stuff to come. The first thing is warm up and cool down. So when you're talking about warm up, you're going to talk about doing specific exercises, specific routines that will help your muscles and your joints, your ligaments to get warm so that you can perform whatever that particular, let's say, lift of the day is. So specificity is key here. So let's say you're going for a heavy squat. You know, going and doing a bunch of bench reps, even doing a bunch of deadlift reps is probably not going to warm you up the way that you need to be warmed up for squat. So if we're going for a bench day, that means warming up your shoulders, it means warming up your triceps, possibly even a little bit of your biceps, your back. And, you know, for me, when it comes to specifically a bench press day, I'm going to definitely want to warm up my shoulders and my triceps. That includes a lot of different variants of body weight exercises, but there is key, and I'm going to touch on this going forward quite a bit through all of these steps. But autoregulation is definitely something that you want to incorporate into everything you do. Look it up if you don't know what it is, but basically, in a nutshell, you are able to auto-regulate, and that is to self-regulate your own I guess feelings would be a good way to put it. So how you feel in your training, in your warm-up, your body's responses, it's telling you what's going on, and you have to be in tune with that. And if you're a novice lifter, you may not know what we're talking about here. If you're more of an elite level lifter, you've been at it for a few years, you definitely know that your body's giving you feedback and you want to listen to it. And there's times when it's better to listen to it than it is to forget that it's there. And sometimes you know what I'm talking about. Basically, there's times when you can push the limits a little bit further than maybe you should, and you're going to be okay. But then there's times you really don't need to do that, and you risk injury. But for today's video being about recovery, the auto-regulation aspect of things is going to cover your warm-up. So you want to do a warm-up that is going to get you just warm enough to feel good about performing whatever it is that you need to perform that day. And so warm-ups from me would include things like arm circles. As silly as that sounds, it warms up the shoulder joint. I do a lot of band pull-aparts, and I'll show you guys some of the tools that I use later. Band pull-aparts, and I'll use PVC rolling, some push-ups, some light stretching. I actually don't have a lot of good experience with stretching before a workout, but I do after a workout. Basically, your muscles are cold, and so I really don't advocate stretching while your muscles are cold. You stretch a muscle and then you contract the muscle during a lift, and it's probably not going to be a good outcome. But after the workout, after you've done your contraction of the muscle, you're actually lifting the weight. Stretching is probably fine. I would definitely recommend you feel it out and make sure that you're doing it in a way that's safe. But we'll cover stretching here in a little bit. The other thing is cool down. While we're talking about warm up, cool down is critical when it comes down to your specific lift that you're doing of the day. So let's say you're doing bench press. Cool down might just be something that you're just doing some lighter sets of those accessories that you've been doing for the day, and just kind of bringing yourself down. And a lot of it, maybe not so much physical other than just resting to come down off that workout, but a lot of that is going to be psychological as well as nutritional. And we'll go through that in the different video series, but definitely keep those two things in mind, warm up and cool down. Don't discount them in your workouts. Do not ever discount warm up for sure, and cool down is more of a benefit to starting the recovery process. And actually the recovery process starts for me before I even get into the gym. And so going back to the definition of what recovery is, it's returning to a healthy state that you were in before. If you don't know what that state was before, how can you ever return to it and know you properly returned to it? So in my case, being an elite level powerlifter, I actually use whatever state I'm in during my rest periods when I'm not working out to use that as the baseline to return to, if you get what I'm saying. So when it comes down to cooling down, obviously it takes a while to come down off of a high from a competition or a workout, but it definitely is important to come down properly and don't just go straight into the next thing. And what I mean by that will be a little bit later in the psychological and nutritional side of things, but when it comes to the physical cool down, I think it's equally important as your warm up. I like to tend to drive by myself with some music on, maybe a podcast that I'm listening to, and it gets me in the zone. And so that's part of my warm-up process, getting to the gym and then starting my physical warm-up. And then, of course, my cool down being going home. And that's a nice time for myself, and it's time to just kind of reflect on what happened either during the sets or right after the sets, and then kind of going home. But definitely something that I would definitely recommend you guys implement as a first thing into your recovery. Okay, number 2, touched on this a little bit. This is auto-regulation. So diving a little bit deeper into auto-regulation. I think this is probably one of the most important things, not to mention all the other things, but literally auto-regulation is going to keep you from getting injured. Now, is it a surefire way to stop getting injuries all over the place? No, it's not a guarantee. But I can tell you that in all of my years, and I am going to be going on my 35th year of some sort of sport training that I've been going through. So, I've done baseball, done soccer, done football, I've done swimming, done super powerlifting at super levels. So I know how to stay injury free, and that is basically listening to my body. The most serious injury I've ever had to this date, knock on wood, is a torn MCL, and that happened during another sport. Hasn't even happened in powerlifting, and I can definitely say that a lot of my luck is definitely attributed to the fact that I approach my training in a very methodical recovery, injury prevention method. And that's basically how I'm wanting to basically convey this information to you guys. So when it comes to auto-regulation, listening to your body is crucial. You got to know when to stop, know when to pick what battles you're going to fight, which ones you're willing to lose as long as you win the war. And that is a very good way to think about it in terms of if you can't, let's say, finish the set without getting injured or even risking injury, it's not worth it. You're going to be out for 2-3 weeks, maybe 2 or 3 months, or even longer, and maybe you'll never come back from whatever that injury is that you sustained from pushing it a little bit too far. But what do you lose by coming back without an injury and finishing that set or that rep scheme or whatever that max was that you were trying to get on a later date? Maybe a week from now, it might be at the next competition, but being able to come back stronger than you were before, and you almost forget about all the times that you either failed on something or it didn't quite go your way because you feel better, you're healthier, and you actually hit it a lot easier the second or third time that you went back. So auto-regulation is one thing that definitely keeps me healthy day to day, and also from a longer point of view as far as yearly and even decade-wise. It's able to keep you in the zone, able to perform your best without being injured. Now, does that mean that injury can't come up on a whim and you do something and accidents can happen? That doesn't mean that you're guaranteed injury free, but doing these steps definitely will help to prevent you from getting stupid injuries that you can prevent. Okay, so number 3, stretch and mobility work. I'm going to group those together. I think you can definitely do them separately, but I think they go hand in hand. So stretching is one thing that I get asked a lot, and I do. I just don't make a big deal about it. I don't put it on Instagram. I don't post it up. But stretching is definitely one of the staples in my recovery. I will go in typically before bed, and normally my stretching routine is really just part of my day. I don't have a set time frame that I go and stretch for 10, 20, 30 minutes. I basically just do it as I feel the need. If my traps are a little bit sore, or let's say my tricep is a little bit tight, You'll just see me randomly in the store sitting around, you know, if I'm just waiting in the car, you know, if red light or something, and I'll just start stretching my triceps just because I can and it feels better. It's actually very therapeutic to stretch and to get those muscles relaxed a little bit. Helps with the pain. It helps with warming up a little bit. If you're just cold in general, you know, you can basically, I'm not saying warming up for an actual lift, but when you're sitting around and just need something to do, sometimes stretching and taking care of your body is probably the best thing you can do, because there's so much idle time in a day. You can utilize that time to better yourself, not only mentally, but physically. So when it comes to like mobility work, making sure that you're able to move the way your body needs to move to perform, let's say, a lift. And if you can't move properly, something's got to give. If you're not flexible and you're not moving and you're not able to move in that direction, and that particular lift is going to take you in, you are asking for something to be strained or broken or stretched and torn. And that's just part of being able to be flexible, is part of mobility and stretching. So definitely look up some stretches that you can do. I know with me, I typically stretch my hamstrings, my quads, my triceps, my chest. I'm going to even stretch my back. I roll out quite a bit. You know, just various things, stretching my neck, little things, stretching my ankles, mobility work on the ankles, making sure that my ankles are flexible, even the wrist. You know, sometimes you'll just feel tightness and you'll feel jammed up in your elbows and things like that. Just moving and just getting things flowing actually is better than being stagnant. Now, even if you're sore and you're hurting from, let's say, the day before, I'm not saying to go and do a bunch of stretches and really hurt yourself, because sometimes just laying low is better, but doing some sort of mobility is going to help get the blood flow. It's going to make you feel better. It actually will make you feel more in tune to your body, and that goes back hand in hand with autoregulation. If you're sitting still, it's hard to feel what's going on in your body. As soon as you start moving around, you're like, oh man, I can feel my lower back is tight. Then you know, your brain will tell you instinctively, you probably need to do something to kind of stretch it out, warm it up, or it's hurting, it's in pain, don't move. So that autoregulation basically doesn't just apply to the actual training platform, but to everyday life. You know, if you get up and you move, your body's going to give you feedback. Oh, don't do that. Or you just rolled your ankle. Don't step on me again. Something is hurting. And so that using that pain, the receptor kind of talking to you, is going to be key, even at the lowest levels. And I got to say, that keeps me healthier than anything else, just knowing my body. Now, that's going to take some time to learn. If you're just now getting into the sport, it's going to take a little bit more time, but I would definitely always take more caution, err on the side of caution. If you think there's a chance that it could be something bad, it's probably best to bet that it is going to be bad, because live to fight another day. That's kind of my motto. And that will keep you safe longer. Even when I was younger, I know a lot of younger cats will say, oh, well, I'm invincible. And that's kind of the normal thing when you're a little bit younger. And even when you're in strength sports, you start feeling a little invincible as you get stronger. But the difference between the guys who last a long time and the guys who only are a one-hit wonder and they do something and then they're out of the sport is most likely injury. And if injury comes in too early, you're gone. And I don't care how old you are, it's either going to scare you off and you're never going to want to come back, or you're going to be hurt physically so bad that you're not going to ever be able to come back to the way that you were before. So why take that chance in the first place? So, all right, so we're going to move along. We're going to talk about number 4, which is body tempering and PVC rolling. And I put those hand in hand because it basically is the same thing. I don't currently utilize any of the heavy weighted steel body tempering, only because I don't have one. And I've done pretty well with just a PVC pipe. I'll show you this, guys, right now. This is one of the tools that I'll show you later. But rolling out on a PVC pipe is a good way to just get your body moving. Your muscles basically get adhesions, and I'm not going to go into the scientific explanation of everything, but basically your body gets glued up inside, and being able to push on those areas with some pressure, typically like a PVC pipe, you're laying on it using your body weight, or body tempering where you're actually using some sort of outside weight or outside pressure to push down on that area and just hold it for a little bit, roll it out a little bit. It's basically an extreme form of massage, which I'll cover here in a minute. but I utilize body tempering probably 4 to 5 times a week on various areas. And it basically just is a way for me to push and put some pressure on those areas that are bothering me. Sometimes I'll get headaches. And I'm not really the type to get headaches from any other reason other than just being sore and tight in my neck muscles and my back. And so what I'll do is I'll actually lay down on the floor, either on a baseball or on a PVC pipe or something that I can put a little pressure on that area, and I'll just hold it for a few minutes, and it just releases that tension, which automatically gets rid of a headache. But that can help on any, if you have your quad is locked up, your hamstrings are tight, your knees hurting, I mean, just a lot of different things. And body tempering is definitely one thing that I would put in your arsenal for recovery. I utilize personally PVC rolling quite a bit. You can get different various sizes and things like that, and I'll tell you how I kind of made one here in a little bit. I've actually got a video on it, but definitely utilize body tempering as one of your steps to recovery. Okay, number 4 is going to be hydrotherapy, and that's going to basically be anything to do with water. And this could be like ice baths. It could be hot and cold contrasting showers, could be only cold showers, only hot showers, hot tubs, pool time. And so going through each of these a little bit. Ice baths are just kind of the first thing that I'll cover. Ever since I played football, ice baths have been kind of a staple, mostly in my lower body training, because it's a little hard for me, even in some of the bigger tubs, to get all the way submersed. Now there is times when I am able to find some sort of a tub that's a little bit bigger that I'm able to fully submerge, or at least up to my neck, and I'm able to get my arms and my back and chest and kind of get submerged under the water. Other than that, mostly it's just legs, so it's great for like a leg day, any type of squat, deadlift day, or you're just sore and banged up. Especially like when I was playing football, I'd come out from a game and it would just help to get everything recovered. The cold water would constrict all of your blood vessels and everything, and basically when you warm back up, it would force some new blood into those tissues, and it would really just jumpstart the healing process. Not to mention the ice itself would numb the pain, and it would just allow me to sleep that night so that I could get a good night's rest, which we'll go into that here in a minute. But basically going from an ice bath even into contrasting hot and cold showers, which I normally would do one or the other, either ice bath or like a hot tub, depending on the day. I never really go from one to the other because I think that's a little too much of a shock to the system. But hot tubs are great. Sometimes after even a workout, I'll choose to do a hot tub versus a cold tub or an ice bath. Just depends on how I feel. If I'm super cold, if it's a cold day outside, heat just seems to feel better. It's more therapeutic. Being cold already, I really feel like it's just a better contrast for me. I don't approach the recovery method as scientific as a lot of other athletes do. And I think some of that is basically just due to the fact that I know what works for me and what feels good, what is therapeutic to my own training. Now, I am not opposed to listening to the journals and seeing what the scientists are saying about, okay, you should and shouldn't do this. But at the end of the day, I'm the athlete. I'm the one who's going through the pain, the recovery, and I know it has worked for me over a few decades. So therefore, I'm going to do what works for me using the research that I've done and knowing for a fact that it does in fact work for me. So I would definitely recommend that you guys do your own homework, you do your own research, try a few things that I'm giving you guys and see what works for you and develop your own protocols. Because yours may very well be different and probably will be different than my protocol, because some people just respond better to different stimulus, and that could very well be the case. One other thing that I like, because I was a former swimmer and I guess still always a swimmer, is using the pool. And anytime I can get access to a pool, it's not so much as like using it for competition lap swimming anymore, but going in and actually getting the necessary recovery, because just floating weightless sometimes is enough to just kind of put you into a recovery state. It just gets the mind going in a little bit of a more relaxed state. It gets you out of that workout state of mind, and it allows you to kind of slow things down. The cool water typically just kind of relaxes me. I'm able to kind of wade through the water and get the shoulders and legs loose. It's just a very therapeutic thing, I think, is the key word here. Now, when it comes to like hot and cold contrasting showers and or hot tub or like hot water, cold water tubs, I think that works great. I just personally like maybe doing like a hot water shower, finishing it out with a cold water shower, 5-10 minutes each one, and then finishing it out when it's cold, and then just getting out, drying off. And that allows my body to kind of just feel better after the shower. Now, there are, like as far as doing a hot and cold contrast, that works as well. I just think it takes a little bit a different approach. So you turn on hot water, then you go straight to cold water, and you kind of go back and forth depending on how long you want to stay in each one, 30, 45 seconds or a minute or whatever. It's just a little different. Basically, I think just takes the edge off of whatever the pain was. And I say pain meaning a good pain. If it's a bad pain, you probably want to slow things down a little bit and approach your recovery a little bit more serious than just kind of, oh, this feels good, this is therapeutic. If you have actual pain, you probably want to slow things down quite a bit and analyze why you have that pain. If you hurt something, you probably want to, and typically for me, it's put ice on it. I'm a big advocate for using ice packs or ice bags. Mostly it's on like my shoulders or my knees. Very rarely do I put ice on my lower back. If I have some sort of blunt force trauma to my upper back, which is rare, but I guess if I got hit in the back with a barbell accidentally while I was trying to help somebody out, or something in the gym hit me, that's a whole different story. In using ice, but typically heat on the lower back is what I recommend. Heat before you train if you're going to do any type of temperature therapies. Heat before, so it helps warm you up, and then cold after. If you're going to do heat after, I definitely think it's probably better to make sure that it's not like an injury that's going on there, and it's more of a hot and cold contrast. If you have an injury, I'm not a doctor by any means, but I know what has worked for me is typically using pretty much 100% ice and only ice therapies for like the first 72 hours and maybe 20, 30 minutes at a time. Just make sure you don't get frostbitten on that area, and take it off, let it warm up to room temperature, and maybe put it back on for the equal amount of time, maybe 3 or 4 times a day for 3 days. And then start like a heating pad, which I think is another good recovery tool, but a heating pad or some sort of hot therapy, not too hot obviously, and then keep that going for the next few days, and then light stretches and try to see if you're feeling better at that point. But if it hurts and it's seriously injured, you should definitely always go see a physician. Do not rely on your bro to tell you what it is, because if it's something serious, you're going to make it worse. I did that, learned the hard way with a torn MCL. I walked around for about a month. Luckily, I didn't do anything stupid or crazy and make it worse. I could have literally had to have a whole knee replacement just because that whole MCL ligament was 100% torn, and I was walking around without a brace for 30 days before I even knew it. So I guess I have a pretty high pain tolerance, but had it actually taken care of through PRP, no surgery required, and it healed up in about 30 days. So definitely kind of a unique situation there, but could have been a lot worse. But I did a lot of ice therapy during that time, and it helped me to take care of the pain, the edge of the pain, versus kind of taking a bunch of NSAIDs or any type of pain relievers, which I think short term, sure, might be able to help you out, but long term, definitely not healthy. So anyways, moving on. So I've got sleep. Sleep is the number one recovery tool that you can definitely have in your arsenal. I hear this way too much. I don't have time for sleep. I work too much. I can't sleep that long. So my take on sleep, and I don't know if there's necessarily a right number of hours to sleep a night. I've heard it across the board. I know with me personally, I get at least 7, no less than 7 hours of sleep a night, and sometimes 8 to 9. Now, I realize that a lot of guys work and they just don't have time to sleep that long, and I get it. But here's what you got to keep in mind. In order to perform your best, and I'm talking to like elite level powerlifters. Now, if you're a novice lifter, you just want to have fun in the gym, you're just kind of cranking out a few PRs once or twice a year, then I don't think that you need to necessarily sleep 7 hours a night in order to perform at your best in the gym. I think you could probably get by with some of that, some less than that. But stress outside the gym physically, meaning if you would work a very hard day laborer type job, or you're in the oil field, you're moving your manual labor, you're in a warehouse, you're on your feet all day long, your back's tight, you're going to need more sleep to be able to perform better in the gym than somebody who's sitting at a desk. Now, that's not saying that somebody at the desk is going to perform better naturally because they're sitting down and kind of, I don't want to say lazy all day, because that's what I do. I literally sit at a desk all day long, but I get up and I move around so I'm mobile and I'm not just sitting stagnant all day long, because that can hurt you and definitely start some early onset problems. But if you are not able to, let's say, get 5 hours of sleep a night, but you're able to go to the gym for 2 and 3 hours, I would recommend that you take one of those hours away from the gym and put it towards your sleep, because I think gym time is less important than your sleep time. Yes, I said it. Gym time is less important than your sleep. Now, the reason I say this is if you cannot recover, it's not worth being in the gym. I say this again, if you cannot recover properly, there's no point in even going to the gym, because basically you're running a car without oil. Your body is very much like a car. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that need to be tended to, and if you neglect one thing, it may not be that big of a deal, but you neglect that thing for a little longer than you should, definitely can be a problem. It may be more serious than others. If you neglect 2 or 3 things, you're definitely stacking the cards against you. So with that said, I wanted to kind of touch base on all these tips. And if you do all of them in a way that works for you, you are going to have success in your recovery. I guarantee it. Now, does that mean you're going to be the best person for bench press or squat or deadlift or whatever your lift is in the world? That has nothing to do with it. It's talking about your personal recovery. If you can go to the gym and put 2 or 3 hours of hardcore gym time smartly into working out and making your goals come true in the gym, then you better put at least that much effort into your recovery, because if you don't, it's going to be futile. You're literally going to spin your wheels. You might make some progress for a couple years, but you're going to hurt yourself and it's going to be over. And if you just implement some solid recovery planning into your workouts and into your training, you will definitely see the benefits of it long term. I'm not sure exactly what the quote is, but I know if you reference Ed Cohn, he's a very distinctive powerlifter, very legitimate powerlifter that's been around, arguably the greatest of all time. He basically says, if you can go and make 5 pounds of progress every year over the course of 10 years, you're going to be 50 pounds stronger in whatever that particular lift is. But let's say you injure yourself along the way, you're set back 5, 10, 15 pounds, you're not going to be making that kind of progress over that time. And a lot of people spin their wheels because they spend their time in recovery mode from an injury. If you can spend most of your time in a recovery mode, thinking smartly about your training, and you never get to the point to where you're having to spin your wheels over an injury, then you're going to be that much further ahead than if you didn't. So to wrap this up, I'm going to show you guys some useful tools that I use in my own recovery. Now, this by no means is the only thing that you can use. It's something, these things are things that I use personally pretty much daily. On a daily basis, I am going to use one of these, if not more of these, to make myself feel better, to warm up, to warm down, to stretch, to get a pain out of my neck or out of my shoulder or out of my quad or something. And so it's literally just a part of my lifestyle. Recovery is part of my lifestyle. So one of the things, and I'll just kind of go through them at random. So one of the things that I like to use is the band. This is about a 30 to 50 pound band tension. You can get them less, you get them more tension. I definitely recommend probably something around 10 to 20 pounds is probably good for the average lifter. And you can use them for just about any kind of movement that you could do, body weight wise. And I use these quite a bit for pull aparts. And you can see some of the videos, and I'll put some of the, like my shoulder, how to bench without shoulder pain, without shoulder injury video down in the description, as well as some of the links to where you can buy some of these products. But I definitely use this daily, and I use this on my upper body and my lower body. I even use bands in general as part of my workouts with the barbells, so it gives you some resistance. But using bands is definitely a good way to warm up and cool down and incorporate them into your recovery. Another one of my favorites is just a standard waxer, I guess, if you will. I guess what you would call it. And I got this one from Walmart probably 4 years ago, and I have not broken it yet. I use it 2 to 3 times a week. I normally get the kids or the wife to help me out with like lower back. I can reach, pretty much anywhere I need to reach on the rest of my body. It plugs in to an extension cord typically, and I use it for maybe 5-10 minutes at a time. It's very much like just a massage, and it just rotates. Just don't keep it on one spot too long, it'll burn. But I bought this for $19. It's probably one of the easiest $19 that I've ever spent, and it's probably worth a lot more than that. You can buy professional grade waxers for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I don't recommend necessarily doing that. If you can get it for 20 bucks and it lasts you for 4 years, that was at $5 a year worth of investment. I don't think you can beat it. Another thing that I have is a Theracane. I want to say that I bought this at a Relax the Back store, which is typically a little bit expensive in there. I had to actually think about it for a couple days to think if I wanted to spend $40, or actually I think this might have been $60 I couldn't get it online, but I really like the ease of use because I can use it and I can get into my back and get some of those knots worked out, which is a lot, even if you're just a desk job kind of guy and you're not really working out that much, but you get a little neck pain, sore. My wife uses it quite a bit. There's a lot of different knobs on here, and I'm not sure I'm even using that the right way, but typically if I just find a spot that I can push on and I hold it, it's basically body tempering at a smaller scale. But you can buy those, I think, 40 to 60 bucks. They might be a little cheaper now, but definitely something. I'm sure there's some knockoffs too, so you can definitely check those out. One thing that I definitely got a hold of was, and you guys, if y'all have products that you're wanting to send me, I am definitely open to doing some unbiased reviews. This is one of those. I'll go ahead and incorporate it right into this video because I actually use this now on a daily basis. It's called a RELXBIT. I think that's how you're gonna how you pronounce that. And it's basically just an all-encompassing massage gun. Basically, just got a little. Let me see if I can get it to turn on here. Yep. And it's pretty good. It'll fit right in the gym bag, and it'll get in there. I use it for tendonitis quite a bit, if my elbows are messing with me, things like that. And being that it's got a very small footprint, I can drop it in a bag. I can drop it in the wife's purse, and she won't even know it's there. I can use it. It's got some different fittings that you can put on here. It's got about 4 different fittings that have different sharpnesses and degrees. This is probably the easiest one. There's a flat one and there's a pointed one. But I want to send a shout out to Jay over there at RELXBIT. Thanks for sending that to me. I'll have a link down in the description below if you guys want to check this out and kind of grab one of these. But I definitely appreciate you guys supporting Jay over there at RELXBIT and sending that to me. I definitely appreciate it. All right, so next thing I've got is some different type of medicinal, I guess would be a good encompassing word for it, but like gels and creams that I like to use. One thing is definitely from Skull Smash. He's a sponsor of mine, so definitely use my promo code below my link. Take care of Steve over there at Skull Smash. He's a veteran-owned company. He's got the old Sornomore, obviously, but he sells the best ammonia on the market, Skull Smash. You guys see me if you're watching my lifting videos. I take a whiff of that ammonia. He makes the Sornomore, and this stuff is great. It's basically like a camphor and menthol-based cream, so very similar in concept to the Bengays and to the let's see, I can't remember the name of the other one, but the horse liniments and gels and things like that. But definitely this is doesn't go on. It's got a little bit of a scent to it, but I rub this on quite a bit before my workouts just to get the blood flowing, just to kind of get things going. But I know there's a lot of guys that have like arthritis, joint pain, muscle pain, and this is basically a very good thing that it will take that pain away. Obviously, if you're having things that you're going to need like Vicodin level pain medicines for, probably not your best thing. Probably have more problems than just putting a gel or a cream on, but definitely support Steve over there at Skull Smash. But Sornomore is definitely my go-to. So you can see I use the heck out of it. It's literally gone. This is probably about a month's supply for me because I just slather it on everywhere. And it feels warm. Typically takes about 30 minutes before it really kicks in. But I like that because it allows me to get through my warm up, and then it kicks in. It kind of takes my mind off of if I have any type of nagging little irritations that are going on. Now, obviously, you want to keep in mind that if you're having any type of serious pain, you probably want to shut it down for the day. Something is wrong. You want to listen to your body, do that auto-regulation thing we were talking about earlier. But as far as just everyday aches and pains, this definitely takes the edge off. Another one that I like, and this is a new sponsor of mine, Life's Balance CBD. You can check their link out below. I also have a code for them. If you support them, you're supporting me. Life's Balance, and so this is a CBD-based pain cream. It's a little less, I use this at night. Let's just put it that way. The other one is great for workouts. I don't like to put it on personally before I go to bed because it's a little bit intense. It definitely will kick up a notch while I'm trying to go to sleep. Now, as far as going to sleep, I use this in conjunction with actually a CBD oil that I have, an oral. And this, along with that, will keep my shoulders at bay during the night. Definitely good. My wife actually uses this stuff as more of a facial cream for dryness and things like that. So this got a lot of different uses, but definitely check out Life's Balance CBD.com for that. So that is pretty much it. Now, keep in mind that these are the tools that I use on a daily basis. I am very, very versatile. Sometimes if I'm just in the gym, sometimes I'll just take a pin out of a rack and I'll kind of put it in a sore spot. I just use anything that's at my disposal. Now, obviously, I'm being smart about it. I don't want to start digging in with anything sharp, but sometimes it's just nice to be able to, if I've got something in my lat, maybe get up against a barbell that won't move and just kind of push up against it and kind of move things along. But the moral of the whole video, the moral of the whole story here is I want you guys to pay attention to your recovery and take it serious. I am at the level that I'm at with lifting, and I'm every level that I've ever reached in anything in life is because I take what I'm doing seriously. I'm very methodical. I research what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I don't listen to everybody. I take bits and pieces and I use what is going to work for me. So I want you guys to take this video, do your due diligence. I want you to figure out in your recovery what is going to work for you, and definitely let me know in the comments. I would love to hear if I skipped anything that you guys feel is definitely important in your own training that you use, because somebody might be reading through those comments and be able to use that for themselves. So I definitely don't want to be the only person giving my information. I am not the expert on this subject. I am still learning just like you guys, but I wanted to convey any information that I have. I want to put it right back out to you guys so that you guys can be smart in your training as well. I definitely thank you guys for tuning in for this video. This is probably going to be a 2 or 3 part series. I'm going to bring some expert reviews and expert opinions in on for the nutritional side of things, because I definitely think that is extremely important, and on the psychological side of things. I think those are 2 very important, very exciting aspects of recovery that are very much overlooked. I don't hear a lot about them out there, and maybe I'm just not looking hard enough. But if I can't find them by just kind of browsing, I know you guys probably can't find them as well. So if I can help to put some information in you guys' hands, by all means. So with this video wrapped up and done with, I really, really appreciate you guys tuning in as always. If you like this video, definitely give me a thumbs up. Share it, share it, share it. Please share this channel. I'm really trying to grow with you guys, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys who has subscribed over the years. I remember when we were at literally like less than a few hundred, and now we're in the thousands or 10,000s. And so I really, really appreciate you guys. If you definitely like this video and you want to see more videos like it, definitely leave me a comment. Let me know what you want to see. Subscribe to the channel, and definitely if you haven't checked out my recap videos, go ahead and check those out. The recap videos are continuing this week, so we are welcome back, but the road to 700 continues. But really, 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 I want to appreciate you guys and thank you for tuning into this video. Check me out on benchonly.com if I can help you guys out anymore. See ya.